Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ask ServiceMonster show, where you've got questions for your service business and we've got your answers. Today's question comes from Kim. She wants to know, hey Joe, what do you think about getting a business partner? Well, I got 3 answers to that. First, maybe. Depends on a whole bunch of stuff. Hell no. It's a great idea. I think it would totally help your business. Obviously, I have no idea. Business partners may or may not be right for you as an individual, but what I can do is kind of go over things that you should look for, remove the rose-colored glasses that you may be seeing this whole thing through, establish kind of a credence of what you're looking for in that individual, what the deal structures can be like, that kind of stuff. I can lead you in a path, I can clear your fog of war. But as far as actually getting a business partner, that's like asking me if you should get married. I have no freaking idea, man. Now, at a certain point, as an entrepreneur, you're gonna be lonely. You're gonna find your skills are empty in a couple areas that you really need for your business. Maybe finance or marketing, maybe the actual technical aspects of the cleaning or sales in general. Like whatever that niche is, like everybody can't be 100% of the pie, right? So whatever that empty space is, and it can take the form of cash as well or leadership, you'll look toward maybe a partner. What would that be like? Obviously, good seductive reasons are skills gap, right? We just talked about that. Cash in the business, or how about some cash in your pocket, selling a little bit of the ownership. Growth opportunities. Maybe they're into a network of things that could just open up a whole new market for you or a whole new service or product. And the more you start thinking about it, the more you start thinking, man, this sounds like a really good idea. This would be really cool.
Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
Partnerships, as Dave Ramsey would say, is the only ship that doesn't sail. It's like a marriage. I mean, it's really like a marriage. You take the sex out of it, of course, but at the end of the day, you're emotionally tied to this person or people. You have contract obligations toward them. You may not always see eye to eye, but man, you are married. And like a marriage, there's a whole bunch of shit that can go wrong. So jumping into this lightly is not a good idea. And just grabbing somebody off the cuff, also not a great idea. Like a marriage, you could divorce. Breaking up is hard. Exit strategies, getting them out of your business, it's a nightmare. They could be cheating, taking stuff of the business and then using that to push their own agenda or grow their own wealth. They could be lying or creating accusations, telling you that you're not doing the right things when you're the one working in the business day to day. If they're tight to the business, there could be mismanagement issues. I hear it all the time. I've got this employee. I'm like, why didn't you fire him? They go, oh, my business partner brought him in. And man, bad habits like drugs or how they treat other people. This is a real deal. When you get connected to somebody at a partner level, you better make sure that they're gonna walk the path that you are walking. So before I get too far, I gotta say, I have business partners. That's the state of this particular business that I'm in now. I will say this, I will not be having business partners in the future, not unless I find someone that I really connect with and can move forward into that next arena. And don't get me wrong, I love Eric and Dave and the other business partners that we have helped us on our journey. They deserve their props for sure. But, you know, would I have done it a little different? Yeah, probably. I've got 4 other business partners and it has been a struggle. There are times when it's been easier than others and we've certainly all made mistakes, and this is a very highly emotional game and can get pretty serious pretty fast. So I caution you here, like learn from my mistakes in this case. I'm gonna outline some of the things that you should be looking for to avoid that kind of stuff. If you're really dead set on bringing in a partner. So the first thing you have to assess is what is the value that they're gonna bring in. Now, if you don't know who your partner is at first and you're gonna hunt for them, you may wanna do this in reverse. You might wanna identify what is the value that they're going to bring to you. Now, of course, there's the obvious one, cash. And this could come in a wide variety of forms, deals, and structures. But it's not the most important one, by far. Just because someone's willing to write you a check doesn't mean you should just head up to the trough and get going. So we're gonna talk about those and other issues as we move on. So money's not the main thing. Business is about people. It's about relationships. If you've got somebody that you can establish a really strong relationship, that they bring skills to the table that complement yours, they bring experience and opportunities that complement yours, that they can go and move forward with you in a common journey of why, like what are you doing and why are you doing it, then maybe you might have someone that can bring in some value. And then on top of that, yes, they should bring some cash. Now there's 4 ways that a cash deal can kind of be structured. The first is just straight up cash for ownership, equity in the company. The second is giving you access to cash, and then this is going to be in the form of debt. You know how I feel about debt, but in this case, it is a little different. Someone that's a partner who loans some money to the company, that's what we see as bootstrap. As long as they're not pulling out of a loan or a credit card or anything, this is bootstrap, right? So that's okay. That kind of debt is okay, as long as you have a payment structure and you're dead set on getting it off the books as quickly as possible. There's a third kind called convertible debt. This is interesting. This is actually very common with VCs as they enter into an investment. It says, I'm going to loan you the cash, but at any time I feel like it, I can convert that into equity. You really don't have a say. You can put some clauses in place, maybe some gates, right? You don't perform or meet some metric and then he has the ability to convert it. But just know that that deal structure is out there and can go towards negotiation. What it does is it significantly reduces the risk for the investor. And then the fourth type, most common with products, not services, although why not, right? Royalties, that they're gonna make X% off the top line from every ticket you sell. And that way, over time, they'll recoup their money back, plus then start making money, ergo the investment. They don't necessarily own any stock in your company, although you can use a combination of these 4 to create the deal structure. Sky's the limit, man. You can do anything you want with this stuff. It's not like you have to follow some specific playbook. Get rid of that. That thought, not gonna help you. You can be very creative with these deal structures. All right, so how do you select one? You decided you want a partner. You need somebody to complement your skills, and you've grown this business to $500,000, and so let's call the valuation somewhere, around $500,000 or $750,000, and now we're going to kind of shop for a partner, someone to fill that skills gap, someone to buy a little bit of equity from you, maybe put a little cash in your pocket, and then maybe you turn around and loan the money back to the company. So the second to last thing you want is an owner who's just dead weight, who just showed up, handed you cash, and then doesn't do anything. That's only second to the other type, the business owner who likes to play board director every 4 or 6 months. Doesn't really have that much of an interest in the business on a day-to-day, but then shows up and points out how everything's wrong and how everything should change. It takes a while to kind of identify what they need in order to make certain decisions and limit it to the task, which is responsible for owners. This is where operating agreements come in, and we'll talk about it. But this is not what you want. Either of these 2 relationships, really not what you're looking for. Time and money, right? Money comes and goes. You can get partners that bring in huge amounts of cash and you can go through periods of desolation. Like that's an infinite variable. Time, you have a finite amount of that. And partners, people, that's the real deal, right? So I can find 20 different people willing to give me money, but which one of them is really going to elevate our business to the next level? You got to get to know them. I mean, really get to know them. You had to date your wife for how long before you married her? Get to know these people. Stay with them for a few nights over a weekend. Go camping, see how they live. Talk with their children. Get to know their wives. This is a marriage, so treat it like that. Sit down and identify some non-starters, some things that will absolutely just be non-negotiables in your mind, and make sure you get them to tell you that as well. Sometimes that can go a long way to just eliminating everything right off the bat. Make sure you're pushing towards a common why, that you have the same goals. If you're trying to grow the company and they're pissed that they're not extracting dividends out, you have a kind of a misalignment of purpose. And then you can sit down and decide what it is that you really want to do and then move forward. But you've got to have a common front. Otherwise, you're going to be pulling from both directions. Make sure your goals are in alignment on a regular basis, both short-term goals and long-term goals. So again, someone's going to be in your company. This is a little easier, right? The members or the owners that are working with me here in ServiceMonster, like Eric and Dave, they're in it day to day. They know exactly what's going on, so that's pretty easy. Make sure your guys' values line up, like just in general, that you're both the type of people that you'd love to be around all the time. And make sure you identify very clear roles between you. Like, it's got to be basically put in a silo and understood, like these are the roles. And sometimes things can get complicated. Example, Eric and I have had a pretty amazing relationship over these 15 years where we've both been employee-boss type relationship. We're at the board level, we're more equals. At the ownership level, we're definitely equals. So it takes some time and some finesse and the right people to make that happen. Eric and I have been lucky. So doing that on your own with someone else, just be very careful. All right, so you identified that you wanted somebody and you really, really thought about it. You actually found somebody. Now, what percentage ownership, how much cash should be exchanged, like how should that deal look? Again, this is gonna be very subjective. You can do it however you'd like. I'm just gonna give you some basics here. For instance, you should start with value. What are you bringing to the table and what are they bringing to the table? And try to understand this equitable value, right? So let's say that you've grown your business to 500,000, and just to make everything easy, we're gonna say that's the evaluation as well. So $500,000 business, that's the value you bring to the table in addition to your expertise and the skills that you have. All right, so if he comes and he brings in 250K, right, that's essentially 50% of the business. And then also, as a partner, he should be in the business taking over a section that he is more competent to handle than you. If he's a superstar and you have you already know that he's gonna open up this whole area, your business is gonna take off, a non-cash equity transfer is certainly possible. That's how David got his shares. He didn't buy them, I gave it to him because I understood the value he meant to us at the time and continues to bring to us. And so, yeah, you can do that. But again, just kind of weighing out the value of what they're bringing versus what you're giving up. Another interesting approach is kind of a tiered. They hit certain benchmarks and then they receive more equity. This could come in a variety of flavors. It could be sales, right? They're coming in for sales. They need to have a certain number of sales or increase the volume of revenue by X before they get a certain revenue. Or maybe it's cash, right? 3 installments as you guys get to know each other. The first one gives them X number of percent and so on. So there's all kinds of ways to approach it, and that kind of tiered system is fairly common. Now, before you really do anything, as far as putting ink to paper or exchanging cash, get an operating agreement. Seriously. Identify your responsibilities, like voting. What does that look like? What do you need unanimous votes for? Stay away from that. What do you need super majorities for? What do you need majorities for? Like, what are the responsibilities of the owners themselves? What are the decisions that are left to them to make? Be very clear about that. I would also add in very specific clauses on distributions. Although if you're going to be a S Corp or an LLC, you're going to have to give away based off the ownership percentage. But you have some more flexibility when you're dealing with a C Corp. Management responsibilities should be spelled out. How do the owners elect the executives within the company and make sure they're doing what they need to be doing? Financial, contract, who has authority to execute those? Ownership exchanges. If you want to sell part of your ownership, what does that mean to the business and the other partner? How does that work if it gets complicated. And finally, exits and dissolutions. Like the business just falls apart. What happens? Who's responsible for the debt? Where do the assets go? And another thing that would have been handy, shotgun clause. And basically this says it's a forced buyout or forced sell. Simplistically, it says you're going to stake a value onto the business and you're going to offer your partner to buy them out, or they have the option of buying you out at the same cost that you just established. One or the other, pick a side. Either way, make sure you get your operating agreement sorted and use a legal professional and listen to the advice they give you. Okay guys, wrapping up, 3 things I want to draw your attention to when finding, picking, and establishing a relationship with a business partner. Number 1, make sure you really, 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 really need them, and then get to know them as a brother, a husband, a wife, whatever, because it's a marriage. Number 2, make sure the deal is equitable, that you are bringing value and that they're bringing value, and it's the scales are even. And number 3, 100% get an operating agreement with a lawyer. Until next time, guys, subscribe to our YouTube channel, go check out the demo, and give us a call.